Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us in large numbers. This is really making us a bit nervous as well at the same time. Really exciting. And huge shout out to people who is sitting on the floor. Okay, so it's really excited to be back. And PepsiCo is actually representing in this forum second time in a row. Last time, we were talking about our GitOps strategy as well as the edge computing strategy in PepsiCo, right? And this time, we are trying to share our LLM deployment strategy on cloud. Okay, before we get started, a quick intro. I'm Praseed. I actually work with PepsiCo for almost 3 years now, having an industry experience of close to 18 years. And out of that, the last 6+ years has been purely on Kubernetes and DevSecOps domain. Okay. And within PepsiCo, I lead the entire container platform operations. And the primary focus of our team is to ensure the platform is capable of leveraging the latest technologies and happenings in this space. And the last 1.5 years has been purely on the AI adoption. How do we make sure the particular platform is adaptive to the AI technologies, right? And here we are sharing our journey on how we scaled PepsiCo's business with LLM deployment strategies, right? And how it is really helping us. And joining me today is my colleague Dhanashree, who is actually focusing completely on the AI track within container platforms. And over to you, Dhanashree.
Thank you. Thank you, Prasid. I'm Dhanashree, and I'm working with PepsiCo. Yeah. I'm working with PepsiCo from last 2 years as an architect. So my career started with as an Linux image building, which continued as an cloud architect. And now I'm contributing towards the AI and focusing more onto the Gen AI. So hope you will be having notes out of today's session. Thank you.
Okay. Before we get started, a quick show of hands time. We just wanted to know where you are actually placed on this LLM and GPU journey in Kubernetes, okay? Please show off your hands if you're just getting started or you're sort of a very beginner stage. Wonderful. I'm sure I think you'll have some solid takeaways out of this session. Let's try to understand who are running some LLM experiments in production, sorry, in non-prod, but not quite there in production yet. Good number of hands, thank you. And who are really running these LLMs in production at this stage and really feeling the heat. Okay. Thank you so much. This really helps us to tailor our session so that it caters to all kind of audience. And this will be the agenda for today. We'll quickly get started with who we are as a company and the team we belong within PepsiCo. And a quick primer on the AI, what AI is all about and how enterprises are really driving the AI impact, right? And also how PepsiCo is really doing in this space. And we'll get technical. Also, the complete playbook, the technical playbook of how we are implementing LLMs for some of our specific use cases. Not every, but this is more of an opinionated some use cases. We will be sharing that information with you all and leaving you with some practical learnings, right? So that you don't really repeat the same mistakes that we have encountered during our journey. And then we'll leave the floor for Q&A. So please stay right back after the session. We'll have some Q&As also taken. Okay? So about PepsiCo, I'm sure many of you know about PepsiCo. So for people who don't know us, we are one of the largest CPG companies in the world with over 86 billion in revenue, net revenue. And we have several iconic products in our portfolio, ranging from Lay's, Cheetos, Gatorade, to name a few, right? And each of these iconic brands is yielding almost 1 billion in revenue yearly sales. And we are a global company. We are distributed across around 200 countries and territories, and with almost 320K employee strength. Keeping aside these numbers, right? So what really differentiates us is the innovation that PepsiCo is really putting into its products, be it marketing, and to ensure the customer experience is the top priority, right? And how it is embracing the technology innovation in each and everything which it does. And how it is done? And that's where we belong to within PepsiCo as a team, right? The strategy and transformation team. And we are cross-functional team who works to identify the business challenges and try to solve that ground up. Okay, within S&T, we belong to a data and AI org. And within data and AI, we boil down to AI solutions and platforms team. And that's where the container platform is completely being managed. Yeah, let's try to take a moment and keep aside all the buzzwords related to AI, right? And understand it from the pure layman terms, right? We have seen the evolution of computers where we were able to feed it with a set of instructions, and computers were able to really provide back those outputs properly, right? But in AI world, what really changes is instead of instructions, right, we are feeding it with a lot of data. When we talk about data, it's enormous amount of data varying a lot of different patterns incorporated into it. And that's essentially the reason why data is the key when it comes to an artificial intelligence domain, right? So what is different in this case, right? So we, instead of feeding instructions, we are feeding data and a little bit of reasoning capability so that it can think a little like humans, so that it understands the patterns, maybe take decisions based on this particular data which you have fed or maybe trained. So this is not something which suddenly appeared in a year or two, right? It was actually in the works. If I help you with some examples, right? The Google Maps helping you to find an optimized route and helping you maybe to unlock your mobile phone with a Face ID. So all these are AI in action, but in a very subtle way. But how it becomes so democratic is definitely with the arrival of ChatGPT in late 2022. We all know that. So suddenly everyone was really able to feel the power of AI and the magic it can unfold from simply with your mobile application in your hand or even from a browser, right? So this being an experience from a common man's perspective, but just think about the scale and the potential it can deliver when enterprises embraces this. That's what clearly is happening currently, right? So be it finding out anomaly in your sales, right? Or it could be maybe an LLM agent helping you on a day-to-day operations. Or it could be strengthening your supply chain. Be it different use cases, the possibilities are limitless for enterprises in using the AI. And that's clearly evident from the adoption that we have gathered, some of the statistics we have gathered from McKinsey and OpenAI, right? So almost 75% or 90% as per the OpenAI, Fortune 500 companies are using Gen AI in some capacity. But talking about the adoption, getting a POC done in the current setup, right, where you have access to a strong or powerful models from cloud providers, be it Meta or Anthropic or AWS. So whatever the cloud providers are available, they are able to provide you strong foundation models, and with a few lines of code, you will be able to embed and use that in your application. But see, the challenge is going to be not the POCs. POCs are quite easy, but how do you convert that into a production grade for an enterprise, right? That's where most of the projects actually stumble, and it's primarily due to a few facts. For example, the ROI part, right? Because getting an AI solution into production requires a lot of computing power in terms of GPU. Whether are you really able to get enough benefit back for the investment that you're doing is a question, right? And also, it's also about a security and governance aspect, because the kind of ability these strong models has, right? We need to ensure the enterprises has strong governance aspects built into it. Otherwise, it can potentially harm your business entirely. So all these aspects are really pushing back on how enterprises are able to adapt or maybe make it more production ready for their workloads. But let's take a quick look at what PepsiCo is currently doing on that space. For us, AI is not really a recent endeavor. We were having AI, being an AI-first company, we have AI in our thought process, strategy, and almost all facets of our business has AI already enabled, right? And this is, to give you a few examples, practical examples from our factory floor, for example, right? You wanted quality potato peeling to be done to get a quality chips in terms of lace, right? So to get that done, we employ computer vision use cases where AI models will be monitoring the peeling happening in a factory floor and ensure is it actually happening to the quality that an enterprise really expect, right, as per the quality. That is one. And could be a cross-contamination use case where in a factory floor you have two different conveyor belts side by side with different flavors of chips actually like going through, right? So where you wanted an AI model to monitor that and probably inform or alert the factory floor assistant that if something is not happening on that particular movement. So all these are some practical use cases we have, and it's not done only with a single technical flow. It could be a Gen AI-infused robotics, it could be multi-agent collaboration, or even having a digital twin simulating a human in your factory floor. So all these are the different use cases which we have employed across our enterprise in different capacity based on your use case, right? And the one primary thing which we consider is whether AI solution has a definite purpose and an ROI attached to it which is justifiable. And talking about this specific use case, this is specifically for data, I think, restricted and confidential use cases that we are planning to present the strategy here. And the reason why we went with an internal hosting, because we have hosted LLMs internally in our platform. And the reason why we did that is predominantly based on the data control and the privacy aspect of it. And this gives us, maybe it would appear like a little bit of an upfront cost and also maintenance overhead. But essentially, the use case really demanded data to be sitting in our infrastructure with total control and governance into the use case. So that's the reason why we went with an internal hosting strategy for this LLMs, at least for these data restricted and confidential use cases. So now I will leave it up to Dhanashree to walk us through the technical playbook, right, of how we are doing this currently in production environments. Over to you, Dhanashree.
Thank you, Prasid. Now, thank you for setting the platform. Now, let's look into the platform capability stack, which actually help us to build this LLM into the Kubernetes. So this platform capability stack helps us to deploy anything from a simple microservices to the AI/ML workload like LLM. And our ability to deploy and build the LLM is not by chance. It is built on the strong foundation. So over the last 5 years, we have built a robust Kubernetes platform with DevSecOps ecosystem, which gives us the confidence to deploy the LLM onto the production. So starting with the infrastructure layer, this is a foundation. And this foundation is can be anything, Azure, AWS, data center, or any RHL environment. And idea is to be flexible, to deploy the workload anywhere. On top of that is the orchestration layer, which is powered by Kubernetes, of course. And this abstracts the infrastructure layer and gives the workload to be more portable. Next is the platform enabler, and this is where we get the enterprise capability. So we have different tools which help us to make the workload more secure, to govern it, and also to have the service management and GPU capability. Next, on top of that is a DevSecOps and automation, which gives the ability to enable any rapid deployment of a new model, upgrade, or rollout. And finally, the application pattern, it can be a simple microservices, CORDS application. And of course, the LLM lies into the last, that is the application pattern. Now, going forward, let's look ahead and see how PepsiCo actually takes this concept to the production-ready AI workload. And there are total 6 steps. It starts with a business team who comes up and identify the use case where LLM adds the value. And this can be enhancing the customer experience, decision-driven workflow, anything. Here is where the business team goes to the platform team. Now, even before it goes to the platform team, there should be some governance, the responsible AI which has to be taken care. So we ensure that required approvals are taken care from the cloud platform, InfoSec team, and AI Review Council, which is specially designed for the AI-specific workload. And finally, we go to the KTS platform where they analyze the business request and turns it into the technical requirement, where they understand which LLM is going to be deployed, what is a GPU requirement, what is a performance requirement, what are the storage and security things we need to take care to make sure that the environment is production ready. And then the platform team actually goes and provisions the infrastructure with all the required GPU, node pool, storage, and the PV, everything, so that the environment is production ready. Now, even before we go live, we deploy it onto the lower environment, monitor it, and do all the fine-tuning configuration so that the optimal setup is ready before it goes live. And finally, the LLM goes live into the production. There too, we continuously monitor and make sure the latency and the throughput of that LLM is as per the business requirement. So with this journey, we ensure that we have a secure and optimal way where the LLM models are deployed from the concept to the production. Now, as we have seen the software stack, let's go ahead and see the brief deployment strategy what we use. So the key enabler over here is NVIDIA Enterprise Stack, where we have the NGC, Triton Server, GPU operator, and we have the monitoring stack like Arise AI to monitor the workload, the AI workload. And we follow all the best practices which are altered and tailored as per the AI specific. Now, the NGC will be having all the optimized profile for the LLM, which we push into the container registry. The platform team starts the deployment, and we have a code repo where we have this fine-tuned environmental variable which is set, which is required for the production. And it goes through the control stages where it downloads the Helm chart, it downloads the model weights into the model storage, then it is scanning for any vulnerability, and finally, the deployment, it might be dev, pre-prod, and prod. Once the workload is scheduled and it goes to the Kubernetes, GPU operator will take over, and it will analyze the workload and allocate the GPU node pool as per the requirement. So once, now over here, it can be depending on LLM that it is allocating a complete GPU, or if it is a smaller model, and if we have the MIG enabled, it will be applying the slice of that GPU to that model. We have a Triton server, which is basically used for benchmarking the LLM which is deployed, and Istio to inference this model to the user. So with this strategy and applying the governance within, using the OPA policies, which might be the AI specific. So with this strategy, we deploy the LLM into the Kubernetes. Now let's see a quick demo. We might not be able to cover all the technical details, but we are around. If anyone is interested, we can have a discussion further. So this is a cluster where we have a GPU node pool. Over here, it is a A100 node pool what we are using. But depending on model, again, as I told, the SKU size will be changing. So we label this model so that we isolate the workload depending on what GPU node pool needs to be assigned. So this labeling will be helping to isolate the node pool. We have the taints, required taints applied over here. And we have the NVIDIA toolkit which is being deployed onto this cluster, like GPU operator, the Triton server, and the DCGM operator. Now, DCGM operator is really important because GPUs are costlier, and we should be very mindful how it is going to be utilized. These DCGM operator actually helps to scrap that matrix and understand the utilization. And we can see into the Grafana that how this MIGBin is utilized and what is the GPU which we can left over. So this is a pipeline where we can see that there is a persistent volume, and this is an environmental variable which we can actually configure depending on the LLM performance. So now over here, it is like enable KV cache, which means that once the LLM is deployed, the first throughput, the first time the query has been hit, it will be a bit slower. But later on, due to the cache, the response should be much faster. Similarly, the number of max token. So depending on how the request we want to fine tune, we can set up the environmental variable over here. Now, as a best practice, we make sure that images, we are pulling it from the container registry. And our pipeline is designed in a way that it will have different stages where it will download the model. And for prod, we have a CR approval which we have placed for a controlled approach. Just for a demo, we will deploy the 1 billion model onto Kubernetes. So this pipeline will go to the stage where it downloads the Helm chart, and it downloads the weight into the persistent volume, and it will go to the pre-prod environment. Now, we have the NVIDIA toolkit, that is NVIDIA SME, which will help us to understand which GPU is being assigned to our LLM inference. And also, using the Triton server, which we will see in some time in the demo, we can understand, like, for the concurrent request, what is the throughput, how the LLM is performing, and what benchmarking has to be taken care. So this is nothing but NVIDIA SME tool, which shows that GPU 0 is being assigned for this LLM deployment. And Grafana can show the total utilization. And this is the PV what we have attached, and the weight of that model which gets downloaded to this PV. We use Istio to inference the model. So using curl, we can actually hit the query to the deployed LLM model and see the response. This is a Triton server. So in this Triton server, we can have a Gen AI performance tool which helps to understand the performance. So we can send the request concurrency query. Over here, it is like 10 concurrent query is been made to the LLM, and how much time it takes for the first token, second token. And this totally depends on what hardware we are using at the end. So A100 ND series will be much better than the NC series. So depending on what GPU we are using, the performance will be differing over here. This is just a quick query we have made using curl and the response what we got from the inference LLM model. NVIDIA comes up with a different profile. So they all are optimized and depending on the use case. We might have the latency profile, we might have a throughput profile. So we have that capability to pull the profile as per our business requirement. And using this command, it can actually list the available profile. Oh my God. Is it ahead? Yeah. So no, this is the MIG part. So using this list profile, we can actually understand what are the profiles available which we can use depending on the hardware again, and what type of response we are looking out of that LLM deployment. We went ahead. Just to demo, we have also done the MIG. For enabling the MIG, we need a config map where we do the time slicing and the GPU slicing. And using this, it will be labeling the GPU as per the slice. This labeling can help us to allocate the LLM to that particular slice of GPU. So over here, it's the 3G 20 GB model slicing, which we have allocated to the LLM. And it's sorry, I think so the slide which I was about to pause, it shows the matrix which are exported using the DCGM operator, which helps us to understand the GPU utilization. This is just a Triton server to showcase that which MIG slicing is being allocated to the deployed LLM model. Just to showcase quickly the OPA policies what we have placed. So instead of pulling the image from the directly from the container registry, we tried it to pull it from the NGC private repo, and it fails with warning that it's only allowed repo which is used for pulling out the image. Similarly, for the AI-specific workload, we have deployed different governance policy in place. And this was a quick demo to showcase how we deploy the LLM into the Kubernetes. And I will hand over the platform to Prasid.
Thank you, Dhanashree. I know it's quite a bit of technical bit to consume. And we'll leave you with some practical learnings we had out of this exercise, right? So first is adapting to the GPU constraints. So be it any public cloud or any platform that you're running this, the actual reality is the availability of GPUs are really scarce, okay? So you really don't have enough GPUs in the market based on the demand. So which means whenever you design a use case, make sure you have a plan B in terms of a different architecture of GPUs, or it could be an alternative region within cloud, or it could be a different configurations within your profiles that you're planning, right? Because that's extremely important. Otherwise, it can really hit you hard on your business timelines. We have really learned that the hard way. And the second and third points are sort of related because we ended up with several latency-related problems during the initial days. And it was really a tough challenge because the operation team was not really competent enough with the AI-related terminologies and having that foundation knowledge of AI, right? Because to support such a landscape, you just don't really need only a Kubernetes basic knowledge. You just need to level up and at least have the basic AI foundational knowledge with it. And talking about the GPU efficiency and governance part, I think the DCGM related exporter, which Dhanashree talked about earlier, it provides the necessary metrics ready-made out of the GPU operator, which helps you to export it and like visualize in maybe Grafana dashboard, and also make sure you have right governance also in place to ensure only the right set of workloads gets into the GPU nodes. Make sure a strong governance practice is built into your enterprise to ensure every bit of GPU is efficiently used. Because we have practically seen maybe a smaller project involving GPUs are costing almost the entire infra cost for running an AKS platform or maybe an EKS platform per se, right? So if you don't really have a right governance in place, it's important that you need to have right visibility, right monitoring and observability on these metrics as well. And talking about the NIMS framework of NVIDIA, which is the optimized inference framework. So it is optimized and it is ready to use, but there are several nuances attached to it, right? Based on your use case, you need to understand what is the real expectation from business. Is it a latency is a priority, or a throughput is a priority? You need to understand all those nuances and maybe fine-tune your NIMS configurations to really capitalize on the benefits and the optimization which NVIDIA has built on top of it. So those are some learnings we had. Just leaving you with the roadmap, right? What we have as some next priorities, which we are already working on. And out of the top of the list is making sure that we have an orchestration for GPU-aware scheduling. Because all these heavy lifting related to MIG, time slicing, and managing with the GPUs across different projects is currently managed by the team with a lot of effort currently, right? We just want to offload that to an orchestration tool, which can help us do the intelligent decisions. That is one of the top priorities which we are already working on. And as you can see, we are already working on a data flywheel kind of an architecture to optimize the models and making sure that it is reusable across different use cases. Okay, and on-demand model training infra. The training jobs are not not like an inference use cases, right? You don't really want to continuously run a training infrastructure. Rather, you want to spin up your infra only when there is a requirement of training job, and then destroy that infrastructure. So that's something pattern we are working on. And also there are some gaps identified in our monitoring setup, and we wanted to tackle all that in the coming months before we close this year. So those are some takeaways as well. That's all we have for this session. Please connect with us. We are around. And thank you for being a wonderful audience and really appreciate that. Thank you.